Hi guys, I'm the Impaired Grappler and welcome to my podcast. Today we have the number one dream podcast guest on my list of dream guests. So we have Grandmaster Rickson Gracie. So I'm very glad and honoured that he agreed to allow me the privilege of interviewing him. So thank you very much, Grandmaster Rickson. So yeah, we covered stuff like growing up with Pedro Sauer, breathing concepts for beginners, his views on learning and teaching, and becoming the victor instead of the victim, how he learns from people from other fields as well as not just Jiu-Jitsu, his thoughts on Kron Gracie's latest fights and Damien Maia's latest fights as well. We also covered his evolution in Jiu-Jitsu philosophy, finding order in times of chaos, and dead-end paths in Jiu-Jitsu, and the latest in the Jiu-Jitsu Global Federation, including the Rickson Cup. So hope you guys enjoy and let me know what you think. Like, subscribe and share, and also check out my website and new blog, and we'll catch you later. Us. Hi guys, I'm the Impaired Grappler. Welcome to my podcast. Today's guest is a very special guest, and newly anointed Grandmaster Rickson Gracie. So welcome to our podcast. Thanks for doing it.
My pleasure, my brother.
Thanks for letting me do this. It's an honor.
Thank you.
Yeah. So like our mutual friend Pedro Sauer, he's the reason why you gave me my purple belt last year, and yeah, that just changed my life. So I just wanted to thank you, and yeah, it gave me confidence that I never had before, and yeah,
I believe there's no luck involved, so you deserve it. Congratulations, my brother. And
that's thanks.
it's one more step towards the black belt.
That's it.
Where you belong.
Yeah.
In the future.
Might take me longer, but yeah, planning on getting there. So I just want to touch on Pedro Sauer as a kid, and like you guys growing up, he used to always tell all stories how he was a wild kid, and when you first took him to the gym, he used to get smashed for the first year by all the brothers and everyone in there. So yeah, I just want you to sort of touch on the growing up with Pedro.
Yeah, my relationship with Pedro transcends Jiu-Jitsu because we met each other even before he started training, and we are friends from the street, partying together, doing things like every kid does. And he was a very, very skinny, has a very fragile frame. He's never been strong, but he always had this kind of spirit of a warrior spirit. And it was a great thing for him to start to learn in Jiu-Jitsu because he could improve in his essence as a warrior with the elements of techniques which can be done from Jiu-Jitsu. So he felt like much better since he started learning. And he's a completely reference for us in terms of what Jiu-Jitsu can do for increasing all the elements, all the positive elements in the human being. So Pedro today is a great professor. He's a guy who is living by the Jiu-Jitsu.
He's one of the nicest guys you'll meet now.
Yes, and it's beautiful, man, to see not only him, but Jiu-Jitsu being touched positively so many people. I'm very happy and proud of this.
Yeah, it's a powerful art. So could you touch on, like, you're famous for your breathing techniques and sort of the importance of breathing and like a protocol for someone just starting to get into the breath work?
Of course.
Jiu-Jitsu and also just general life as well.
Yeah. Overall, since we're born, we learn how to breathe based on a little tap on the butt and stuff. But if you don't study, if you don't practice breathing exercises, you're never going to grasp the idea of what is moving the diaphragmatic muscle, the diaphragm, and increasing the air capacity by bringing the air to the lungs, to the real back part of the lungs. Normally, breathe is more like here, and you're still able to handle.
Like a panic breath.
Yeah, it's like short. It's not intentionally, but if you don't move the diaphragm, you don't grasp what is a full breath. So by learning yoga or singing or diving, you start to understand better the diaphragmatic motion and how this makes a complete capacity of your lungs. And from that point, if you start to understand the motion of breathing can be help you to relax, can be help you to hyperventilate and become more energetic, can be applicable for your focus. So breathing is a very important field for us, maybe the most important, and definitely by learning to use the mechanism, you bring yourself for a different level to control emotions, to become very much connected with the yourself. So maybe the second most important thing in my life is breathing.
Yeah, well, that's it. Well, yeah, so I spent some time at the Steve Maxwell, and he used to say, well, you need to breathe every few minutes, otherwise
Yes,
you die.
yes.
You know, you can go without food for a month, without water for a week, or however long, but like without air, you
Yes,
can't last. So
that's it.
it's very important, and it's neglected in most sports. Like,
Yes.
you know. So uh, people around the world consider you as like their archetypal hero, like when they think of like their own fantasies or what they aspire to be, like in terms of if they're dreaming they're going to be martial artists. Oh, Rickson Gracie's like at the top. And what advice would you give for people to incorporate some of your teachings to basically become the victor of their life rather than being the victim?
I think I'm blessed to be born in the family I've been and be introduced to jiu-jitsu as early age that the way I am. And I'm gifted because even though my brothers training the same, we all did the same patterns and everything the same. In a very early age, I feel like I was exceptionally good in the practice. And that's not something I decided. It's not something I choose. It's just something I could not, deny, and I was good. And that kind of vision and practice and comfortable to do whatever I do make me feel more confident, builds my character. And then at one point, I felt like I had to not only develop with the sport the way I've been doing and seeking for best ways, because my father always told me to finding technical solutions for the problem. And even though I was physically normal and athlete and competitor, I never tried to resolve the matters by my own personal abilities and strength and power and everything. So I always try to be technical, and finding that road a very appealing road for myself, I start to share and develop technical elements to fulfill not only my needs, but my weaker students' needs. So becomes a great journey because since I begin as a teacher, I start to feel like Jiu-Jitsu being a great tool, not only to my development, but to help other people to achieve their powerful inner peace, and achieving through the concepts like weight distribution, strategy, timing, leverage, connection. Those concepts, they bring in those concepts to life and become much better person. So
Okay.
I'm happy.
Yeah. Well, talking about teaching, has teaching, from teaching your kids to teaching your highest level black belts, has that helped you understand jiu-jitsu as well as like at a deeper level and also understand your teachers a bit better?
Of course, more you teach, more you learn. Because especially if you're teaching somebody who's good, you cannot come up with fake positions or weak positions. So in order for you to really bring something effective and strong, you have to be sure about what you're saying, and you have to follow the pattern of evolutionary process, because the fighters from 10 years ago, they're not good as the fighters today because they just keep training and keep having the same problems for longer. So, and then their solutions come. So in my process of teaching, I always take advantage and always make myself be more comfortable and more confident about the teachings and that's good for me as a teacher too. So it's a win-win situation.
Right. So what lessons have you learned from teachers in other, or masters in other martial arts, or even other fields outside?
I'm sorry?
What have you learned from people in other martial artists from different martial arts, not jiu-jitsu, or even different masters in yoga? Or
I keep my mind open, because in my concept, the mind just works if it's open, like a parachute. If you have closed mind on top of any subject, you become closed-minded and you thinking in a box. So I use all the elements I could use to make my jiu-jitsu more effective, either through breathing, either through meditation, either through striking techniques, either whatever is there to make me feel more confident about my representation to the sport and my beliefs I could handle any situation. I mean, anything can give me a good advice. Even a colonel from a place we used to teach for special forces, he's never a fighter. But he told me something once very interesting. So the advantage is always in the offense. So if you feel like something gonna happen, be aggressive at first. This is an advantage, is advice which can be very important in sometimes, in some options. So elements of strategy or warfare or techniques or inner peace, all those are building from daily basis, and you have to keep your mind open to get whatever you need to grow.
Okay, cool. So can we just talk about Kron Gracie?
Yes.
From like his martial arts, his MMA career. He was the last match or two where he pulled guard.
Yes.
In that situation. So can you talk about when it's right to pull guard, and then when you compare it to, I don't know if you saw the last Damien Maia fight where he couldn't take down Tyron Woodley, but he didn't pull guard. Do you think that something like that would have been an option?
I think it was supposed to be the plan B for Damien, because the way I see it is grappling Jiu-Jitsu is a great tool for you to get advantage on the entanglement, on the grappling aspect. So you have submissions, you have positions to be comfortable. But you have to achieve that level. You have to get there. If you're not able to get into the distance to the grappling, you're always going to be wishing to be there. So with Kron, for example, he, in his last fight, we got a guy who is a top-notch, very good level fighter. So he started first proving himself. He can do a dirty box with the guy and stood up with him.
It's very impressive.
Yeah, and he's just because if you're not training, if you're not comfortable especially in the MMA today, if you're only thinking about Jiu-Jitsu as your savior, you're deadly wrong. Today, MMA, the boxers know how to grapple. The wrestlers, they know how to submit and strike. So it's a mixed martial arts which cannot put a one single style to get the advantage. So if the guy
especially with the rules.
Especially with exactly. So the idea of having the Jiu-Jitsu as a core, as a foundation of our sport, I think is great. But Kron adds to that the modern aspect of training very hard physically and cut weight for fights, which seems something I never did. And be focused on the striking aspect to not only be able to handle, but to feel comfortable with all the details involved in order to. So he grows as a fighter in the rules for MMA into the physicality of the MMA, because now it's like a sprinting. 5 minutes of going out. So he developed, he's a better fighter today for MMA than I was. Because he's more approachable for the new rules, which give him just a short period of time, weight division is the same, and so on. So with that approach, he showed the guy he could stand up with the guy forever. But he has to take the fight to the ground. And different than an average competition guard, which doesn't have that kind of pressure, the self-defense pressure, Kron will use a Vale-Tudo Guard, which from point one bringing discomfort to the opponent, taking the guy off the positions and angles to hit. So that complete idea of using the guard efficiently in the MMA world is not something which the whole Jiu-Jitsu family is familiar now. The approach of a Jiu-Jitsu competition, the approach of advantage, the approach of stalling positions take from 90% of the practitioners in Jiu-Jitsu the sense of using guard for real matters, you know? So that's why I feel like it's very important for us to restore Jiu-Jitsu in a way to give more sensibility to the practitioner, and how important it is to training, but always with the possibility you could be fighting in that position. You could be exchanging punches and blows.
Yes.
So with that in mind, you're never going to keep yourself overexposed. You're never going to keep light your guard, and you're going to be always have a guard as a weapon to be used. So Kron did great, not only in the first round when he pulled the guy to the guard first time and give him a hard time, and the guy was saving by the bell. And then in the second round, 15 seconds into the round, Kron already have the guy into the guard. And from that, he escalates pressure and went to his back and able to submit in a very precise way. So I'm very proud of his work, but knowing he has to do a mission into the guard, which is very, very much a pattern for us, but is very much unrecognized for many Jiu-Jitsu practitioners. So we have to bring this back for our community.
Bring it back. Yeah, it's like there's been a resurgence of the self-defense around the world, like Jiu-Jitsu.
Yes, and in regard to Damien, I spoke with him after the fight, and he said he has tried to bring the guy to the guard and try to do what's the plan B for him too, but unfortunately he could not make it happen. But was
a couple of times where his fingers got caught in the...
Yes, and from point one when he tried to go to the legs and the guy punched him on the eye.
That first.
So he's supposed to be like, I don't want to go, because the guy was a brick, professional wrestler, impossible to put him down. So, but in the other hand, if he entangle in the top and bringing the guy to the guard and make it happen, I feel like that's where the chance was missing.
Yeah, well, maybe he got stunned a bit with that first punch.
Maybe, yes.
You never know. So when you look back at your life, the different eras, or like at different points, different ages that you, what philosophies did you have like as a child and teenage years and growing up with regards to Jiu-Jitsu, from younger to today, the difference?
I say, first of all, was, in my early age, I started competing with 6 years old. And then at the time I was 10 or 11, I was feeling like I was on top of the world. I win everything, happy and feeling like I have the talent to compete. And then, like up to 16, 17 years old, it's all about my ego, the girls, they notice, oh, look, he's good. And after I established myself in my heart as a good fighter, I started putting attention in myself as a teacher, because I feel like it's a very important balance to be at service. And my father always told me the best thing for us as a Jiu-Jitsu practitioners is to feed people with they need to become strong. So with this in mind, all the students I have, I always try to recognize them, what they really need from me. I don't want to make them like me, but I want to help them and feeding them with whatever they need. Sometimes the guy's not a fighter, but he just want to protect himself or whatever. So this gives me a very sense of a good balanced sense of service and being, allowing myself to represent something in a bigger spectrum. And after that, I start to see like my evolutionary process as a fighter and become more responsible in a representation of the family, and I was the one who representing the sport. So the responsibility was bigger, my mission was bigger. And as a instructor, I feel like I could empower a lot of people. It's like having something like a special, source of positiveness and strength. So I was able to feed people with that knowledge and that beneficial aspect. And that's kind of make me feel like in heaven, because I was able to really be active in supporting people in their needs. Yeah, and also feeling myself like representing at the highest level. And I feel like this is, could not be better than this.
Okay. Have, have you ever, how have you found order in times of chaos, like the internal struggle, the good and evil within us, in the darkness versus the light? And I was wondering if you had any comments on that, about the...
Living in Brazil is very wild because anything can happen. It's very, a lot of crime, a lot of misery, a lot of drugs, a lot of everything. No rules, no laws. Everything is like messy, With that environment, you get exposed in a very early age to everything you can imagine. It's not something which people has no control in Brazil. And of course, I've been exposed to many friends and situations which you can call the dark side. And I'm not no saint, no naive. I've been exposed to things. But maybe the backbone of my integrity coming from Jiu-Jitsu, because at one point, if I was overdoing in party or something, I said, well, man, I'm going too much here. I have to go back because I love to train, because I'm a Gracie. So what kept me on track was the passion I have for Jiu-Jitsu and the respect I have for my family and the love I have, from my family. So love, respect, passion. I think all this was always keep me on the wrong side of the track, even though I've been exposed and I have many friends who already died for either drug overdose or crime. But, God keep me on the right side.
Okay, good. Just one final question. Are there any dead ends paths in Jiu-Jitsu? Like, is there any time when connection can fail us? Or
I think the dead ends is on the submissions. Beauty of Jiu-Jitsu is a weak guy, if he catches something, is dead end for the big guy. So that's what I'm in love for. If we know dead ends, many dead ends, I will not be happy because, it will be an impossible task. So the beauty is through leverage, through knowledge, through smoothness, you can get to the checkmate as the bigger guy coming with a blow or something. So we all have a chance in the world.
Okay, cool. And the latest in the JJJF, the JJJF?
The latest for the JJJF?
Yeah, and the Rickson Cup, that's coming up as well.
It's coming now, yes, 9 and 10 in September. And we try to create a new reference for Jiu-Jitsu community because definitely the existent rules are deficient. To taking out the dynamic of the fight, giving a lot of stalling. Some positions are based on interpretation, so takes the clear, transparent understanding of who's winning the fight. So we try to move that a little in a progressive way. In terms of self-defense, we want to showcase the self-defense championship, which brings a new avenue to people cross, because some people don't like to compete in Jiu-Jitsu, but they will love to demonstrate, because self-defense championship is nothing more than a choreography, a demonstration of the techniques. So each member coming, and then with his training partners, they come and showcase different various attacks. So that's give them the sense of being active.
Showcasing a live role?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So they will be displaying that, and based on that display, they will get points. And the first, second, and third place of self-defense champion. So that will bring a new crowd for our community, and a new interesting aspect for the practitioners just to become motivated. So
well, hopefully it keeps people in Jiu-Jitsu longer.
Yeah, definitely.
Because not everyone wants to compete. But,
yes.
All right. Thanks a lot for
beautiful, my friend. It's always good to see you. Thank you.
Thanks
all the best, brother.
No worries.
Thank you.
Next time. All right.
Thank you.
Alrighty, guys. I hope you enjoyed that podcast with the Grandmaster. Yeah, it was a great honour and privilege. So thank you once again, Grandmaster Rickson Gracie, for the great honour and privilege to be able to have a one-on-one conversation, sit-down conversation. So yeah, it was a great honour and pleasure. And the reason I'm doing this podcast is thanks to inspiration in my life by people like the Grandmaster, as well as Professor Pedro Sauer and Steve Maxwell, and other people I follow like Joe Rogan and Tim Ferriss and the like. So because of all those influences in my life, I'm trying to do something that I fear, which is public speaking. So I'm embracing that and trying to do something I fear every day as much as I can. That's why I'm doing this podcast. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope you guys can take some life lessons from this podcast or some inspiration or anything. So yeah, be sure to like, subscribe and share, and check out my website and new blog as well in the links below. So thanks once again to Grandmaster. It was a great honor. So yeah, thanks guys, and we'll catch you next time. Oops.